Alright, hey guys! So if you guys are new here, my name is Gabby, and this year I attempted to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail. I hiked about 700 miles, I learned a ton about myself, and unfortunately I did decide to get off the trail this year, but hopefully I can get back on the Appalachian Trail next year. But anyways, it's a beautiful day out today, and I figured it would be a great day to show you guys the new tent that I recently bought. So if y'all remember, on the Appalachian Trail I used the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2 Mountain Glow tent. I honestly can't say enough good things about that tent. I loved that it was lightweight and easy to pack down. It had plenty of space, and because it was a double wall tent, I never really had to worry about condensation in the tent. Even though I really loved that tent and it only weighed about 2.5 pounds, I did know that there were a lot lighter tents on the market, and I was hoping to possibly save some weight for my upcoming hikes. So I decided to order the Gossamer Gear The One tent, and today I will be sharing with you guys my first impressions of this tent. Now I will say this is my first impressions of the tent. I have not actually tried it out yet, but I do plan on using this tent on my upcoming Foothills Trail thru hike, so I'll be able to update you guys on how it did after that point. But anyways, I was going to film this video at home, but I couldn't really find like a good quiet place to do it, so I decided today would be a great day for a short hike on the Appalachian Trail. Okay, so this is the Gossamer Gear The One. It is a single person, one wall tent, and it weighs about 17 ounces. So as y'all can see, this tent is really small. So for one, it's a really light tent. For the price, you really can't find a tent that's much lighter than this one. And then secondly, it just packs down really small. So one of my biggest complaints about my Big Agnes Tiger Wall tent was that it always fit into my backpack super awkwardly. With this tent, I feel like I could pretty much put it wherever I want to. It could go in a side pocket, the front pocket, it could go down inside the backpack. Just whatever you prefer, this tent is going to fit really well. So just to give you all a side-by-side comparison, this is the Gossamer Gear The One tent beside my Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2 tent. So as you can see, it is significantly smaller. Keep in mind we are comparing a 2-person tent and a 1-person tent, so of course it's going to be smaller. But also the Gossamer Gear The One is a trekking pole tent, so we also don't have to worry about carrying tent poles. The Gossamer Gear The One tent is made out of a material called sil nylon, which means it's a little bit more susceptible to tearing or getting holes. Then also when it rains, it's more likely to hold the water. So because this tent is made out of sil nylon, if you do decide to get to this tent, you are going to want to use a ground sheet. So I decided to order the ground cloth from Gossamer Gear and test it out, but you also could use a Tyvek or pretty much any other thing that you want to use. Alright, so now I'm going to walk you guys through the setup for this tent, and like I said, I've only set it up one time, so I haven't mastered the art of a perfect pitch. But this tent is super easy to set up, and it only takes a couple minutes. This bee won't leave me alone, oh my gosh. Alright, so to set up this tent you need 2 trekking poles, and if you are someone who doesn't like to carry trekking poles, I do believe you can get tent poles from Gossamer Gear. And the tent comes with 8 stakes. Even though it does come with 8 stakes, I do find that you really only need 6 to set up the tent. You can use the 2 extra stakes to stake out the tent if the weather is really bad. You also can use the 2 extra stakes to stake out the bathtub, which gives you a lot more space in the tent. But in that case, you actually need 4 extra stakes, so I brought 2 of my Big Agnes stakes to show you all today. So here are the stakes that came with the tent, like I said, and this is pretty much what a Big Agnes stake looks like. I will say between the 2, I do think the Big Agnes stakes are lighter, so if I do end up thru hiking with this tent, I may switch out and use these stakes instead of these stakes. So to set up the tent, I'm going to start by staking out the 4 corners of the tent. So something I've kind of had to get used to with this tent is you don't have to pull it completely taut when you stake it out. So with a Big Agnes tent, you want to make it as tight as possible, but with the Gossamer Gear The One, there are actually adjustments on the tent to adjust it once you pitch it. Here are the little adjustments right here. And I will show you guys better how those work once the tent is up. So I just set both of my trekking poles to 125, which is actually the max that my poles can go. So before you buy this tent, make sure your poles can actually reach 125 centimeters. So to pitch the tent, I'm going to put my trekking poles in this little black corner right here on the top of the tent. There is one on each side, and then the bottom of the pole is going to go on the ground. Alright, so as y'all can see, pitching this tent is incredibly easy. So like I said, I just put my trekking poles in each of these corners, this one right here, and then that one right over there. And then once I got the trekking poles in, I came over and I staked out the vestibules. So this is the front of the tent, and it has a super large vestibule, but on the back of the tent it looks a little bit different. So here is the back. Instead of having a large vestibule on both sides of the tent, as you can see, this tent is just a solid wall with a small awning over the mesh part of the tent. And this mesh part is really just here to help the tent breathe and to reduce condensation. So I have the tent pitched, but I'm not really loving how it looks, but that's okay. It's super easy to fix. So I'm just going to take this stake and I'm just going to move it a little bit. And then I think that one's okay. And then I like where those stakes are. So now what I'm going to do, just to help the tent from gathering rain or being really noisy in the wind, is I'm going to tighten all of these little clips. So I'm just going to take it and pull. And I'm going to do that on pretty much every one of these. All right, now I have a great looking tent that is ready to withstand the wind and the rain. So this is a one-person tent, but as y'all can tell, it is really big. So believe it or not, I would say that the footprint of this tent is actually bigger than my Big Agnes tent. While that means you're going to have plenty of space to spread out and lots of room to put your stuff in the vestibule, it does mean that you'll have to be a little bit more careful when choosing your tent sites. One huge benefit of a one-person tent is that you can fit into tight tent spots, but with this tent, that's not going to be the case. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the inside just here in a second, but first I'm going to stake out these bathtub floors, that way there is plenty of space on the inside. You don't have to stake these floors out, but it's definitely going to give you more room, and if you don't, you could notice it flapping in the wind. I will also say that I saw one person on YouTube take a plastic cord and attach it to this loop right here, and then attach it to this over here, so that when they set up this stake, they could actually attach this one to it, which reduces the amount of stakes that you need to carry. Alright, so now we are going to go ahead and check out the inside of the tent. So as you can see, this tent has a really large vestibule. So even though it's a one-person tent, there's still plenty of space for your things if you don't want to keep it inside the tent with you. Just to give you an idea, here's what my backpack looks like inside the vestibule of this tent. So another really neat thing that I like about this tent is that you can actually unclip this and roll this door up as well. And you can actually have both doors open. So this just makes it easier to get your gear in and out of the tent. But it's also really going to reduce the amount of condensation inside the tent as well. So you can unzip this with one hand, but it is kind of hard. And here is the inside of the tent. Alright, let's crawl in. Alright, so I am inside the tent, and as you all can tell, there's actually a ton of space in here. So I'll actually lay down to show you what I can see. So because of the design of the tent, where the trekking poles are kind of facing this way, it makes the tent feel a lot bigger than it actually is. So one thing I also really like about this tent is it has ventilation down at the feet. It has ventilation up here in the corner. Of course, you can leave both of these doors open for ventilation. And then it also has a vent up at the top of the head. This tent does have a little side pocket, so you can use this to just put your headlamp, phone, whatever you need to at night. And then the tent also comes with a clothesline. So you can hang a headlamp on this, and you also can hang up your wet clothes to dry after a long day of hiking. Okay, so this tent is really cool and I really like it a lot. I really can't wait to get out and test it on the Foothills Trail so I can give you guys a better idea of how well this tent would do on a thru hike. I will say that one of my biggest concerns with this tent is going to be condensation. The tent I used on the Appalachian Trail was a double wall tent, so I didn't really have a lot of problems with condensation. There were some times when I got out of my tent in the morning and I brushed up against the tent door and I got soaked. So there was definitely some condensation happening there, but it wasn't really dripping into the tent. I am a bit concerned about condensation with this tent because it is a single wall tent. I can already feel that it's significantly warmer inside this tent than it is outside. So yeah, I do expect condensation to be a problem in this tent. For me, it's just going to be a matter of how bad is the condensation. I'm trying to find the perfect tent to take on my next Appalachian Trail thru hike. This one definitely could be a contender, but I do not want to wake up to piles of water inside my tent when it's 40 degrees outside and raining. So if that does seem like it's going to be a problem, I may forego using this tent and stick with my Big Agnes tent. But like I said, we will see. So one of the best things about this tent is the price. So normally I believe this tent retails for $299, but I got it on sale for $250. So for 17 ounces, that is an incredibly good price. If you were to get a Z-Packs tent that was a similar weight, you would be looking at probably between $500 and $800. So yeah, I think this could be a really good lightweight tent for those who are on a budget. I love the way the tent looks. I love the amount of space that it has. Like I said, my biggest concern is the condensation. But anyways, my phone is literally on 1%, so I'm gonna get out of here. I do think that's gonna be it for this video. This tent is pretty much just as easy to break down as it is to set up. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.